A huge search and rescue operation is underway in the US after tornadoes struck several Midwestern states, killing at least 100 people. G7 leaders warn Russia about massive consequences of incursion into Ukraine.
Tighter COVID restrictions introduced by governments have led to several protests across Europe.
Melting snow and torrential rain cause major flooding in French and Spanish towns.
At least 100 people are feared to have been killed in the US after tornadoes tore through several Midwestern states. 6 of the victims died when an Amazon warehouse collapsed in Illinois as a result of what commentators are calling one of the largest storm outbreaks in history. More than 80 people are believed to have died in Kentucky alone, many of them workers at a candle factory. Scores of search and rescue workers are spending the weekend sifting through the rubble of homes and businesses, searching for survivors. Observers say a tornado that travelled through parts of western Kentucky may have broken the record for the longest distance ever travelled, as it was tracked touching down for almost 400 kilometres. The last such storm in the region was in March 1925, when a tornado ran over 355 kilometres through Missouri, Illinois and Indiana. This latest event is all the more remarkable coming in December, when colder weather normally limits the impact of tornadoes. President Joe Biden approved an emergency disaster declaration for Kentucky on Saturday and pledged to support all the affected states. There were strong warnings aimed at Russia on the last day of the G7 summit in the UK as foreign ministers united against Moscow. It's amid tensions over the build-up of Russian troops at Ukraine's border. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss spoke about huge repercussions if there were to be an invasion.
World's largest economies are united. We've sent a powerful signal to our adversaries and our allies. We've been clear that any incursion by Russia into Ukraine would have massive consequences for which there would be a severe cost. We've also shown that we stand for freedom and democracy and the right of people everywhere to live free from oppression.
The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken attended the summit at Liverpool over the deeply concerning troop build-up at Ukraine's eastern border. Other topics of discussions included China's economic policies and nuclear talks with Iran.
In the Austrian capital Vienna, tens of thousands of people took part in a protest after the Freedom Party called for demonstrations against mandatory COVID vaccinations and home confinement for those who haven't yet been jabbed. The party's chief, Herbert Kickl, spoke at the rally and joined in the singing of the country's national anthem. In Spain, thousands of people also marched peacefully through the centre of Madrid on Saturday in protests against the government's approach to the coronavirus. Protesters, flanked by police vans, held banners reading "Fake Pandemic" and "I won't get vaccinated." And there were similar scenes in Catalonia on Saturday, where thousands turned out on the streets of Barcelona to protest against the introduction of COVID passports in the region. Close to 90% of people eligible for vaccination have received 2 doses. Cases have risen, but hospitals are coping so far. Further north in Luxembourg, several hundred people also protested over the weekend. COVID restrictions have been tightened recently to include an obligatory health pass for access to leisure and hospitality premises to prove vaccination or recent recovery.
Over the weekend, torrential rain hit the southwest of France, causing some rivers to overflow their banks. Authorities evacuated dozens of residents. The flooding was aggravated by unseasonable melted snowbanks in the Pyrenees Mountains, caused by warm winds from the south. One woman evacuated to a retirement home said, "The water was getting too high, so we thought we'd stay inside, because we didn't want to leave the house. The firefighters took us to the old people's home. Until when, I do not know." Another resident from the area said, "The situation is worse than in 2018-2019. French meteorological officials have warned of high avalanche risks in the Pyrenees. Across the border in Spain, flooding was also reported in the country's northern Basque and Navarre regions. One person is dead as rivers burst their banks and flooded houses and submerged cars. A local man said, "I do not remember as much as this. I suppose that all the water has come together with the snow and the water released from the reservoirs." In Funes, the Agar River overflowed, disrupting one of the town's main roads. Several residents living close to the river have been evacuated as a precaution.
At least 4 people are dead and more missing after a gas explosion in Italy. It happened in the small Sicilian town of Ravanusa as a result of a gas leak in a pipeline. 3 buildings collapsed in the blast, but fortunately few people were inside at the time. Officials from Italy's Civil Protection Unit said rescue workers found 4 bodies at the weekend and were still searching for another 7 people. They added that a further 50 people had been moved out of the building over safety concerns. I have to thank the rescuers who have been working non-stop for 12 hours. There are still 7 people under the debris. Let's hope they can all be found alive. A local priest said the accident was a huge tragedy for the community of Ravanusa, which numbers around 11,000 residents. The town is near Agrigento, a city in the southwest of Sicily.
On Saturday, La Cumbre Vieja on the Canary Island of La Palma marked 85 days of continuous activity, becoming the longest time a volcano has been erupting on the island since records began. On September the 19th, the volcano began spewing out lava and toxic gases that has severely disrupted life on the small Atlantic enclave. More than 1,200 hectares of land and up to 3,000 buildings have been destroyed by molten rock streams. On Sunday, after several days of low-level activity, the volcano suddenly came alive again, blowing a vast cloud of ash high into the sky. The Spanish government has allocated €130 million to help residents recover from the volcanic activity.
The American Gothic novelist Anne Rice has died aged 80. The author, best known for Interview with the Vampire, which was published in 1976, passed away from complications linked to a stroke. Over her decades-long career, she sold over 150,000 books. Using various pseudonyms, she also published erotic fiction. A public celebration of her life will take place next year.
A Christmas market in Vienna is back open after the government lifted last month's emergency restrictions, but only those who are vaccinated may visit. Austria has ended a lockdown for vaccinated people across most of the country. Unvaccinated people must remain in their homes and can only leave for specific reasons, such as buying groceries, going to the doctor, or exercising. The Serbian town of Zlatibor has been blanketed with a thick layer of snow, leaving up to 3,000 homes without power. The extreme weather has caused trees to collapse, disrupting electricity wires. Many roads are impassable, making it difficult for repair workers to eliminate the faults.
Hundreds of would-be Santas took part in the iconic Santa charity run in Athens on Sunday. The 2-kilometre non-timed course went around the city's Olympic Athletics Centre. And for the first time ever, organisers provided Santa costumes for children wanting to enjoy the day.
It's a great opportunity to have air, at least. The children are very happy because they were very close to our homes because of the COVID. I hope the future will be better.
Well, after the pandemic, it is fun to be in a place with many people, to celebrate Christmas, to be enjoying life, to be enjoying the liberties that come with freedom from and health.
It's the first Santa run since 2019 due to the coronavirus pandemic. All the proceeds will go to Make-A-Wish Greece, a foundation that grants wishes to critically ill children aged 2 and up.